All right, Chavra, it is wonderful to see everybody, and I hope that everybody is doing well. Welcome to part 3 of the Ruchniyus diet. This evening, by Hashem, we will be talking about a tremendous avoda, the avoda of position versus trajectory. Now, to somewhat introduce this concept, this topic, I have to tell a story that I've told a number of times in shul. Some of you have heard this story from me before. It's a Kedai story to do Chazara on. This is the kind of story that really requires a tremendous amount of Chazara. The more that we review the story, the more it begins to sink in. The story is the following. Many of you are very familiar with the fact that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zeichat Tzaddik V'Chosh Levracha, held two contradictory positions simultaneously. On the one hand, the Lubavitcher Rebbe was very, very particular, very medactic about halacha. Cared about every single detail in halacha, even so much as telling the shlichim that he sent all around the world to be machmer in chumras, chalav Yisrael, and all sorts of chumras that they should care about and they should keep with alacrity and with dedication. Every detail in the Shulchan Aruch is precious. You cannot abandon even a single detail. And yet at the same time, the Lubavitcher Rebbe considered every single Jew, from the greatest Roshi Yeshiva to the Jew that didn't know the difference between Kiddush and Kaddish, as the greatest Jew in the world. So how can you simultaneously hold that every Jew in the world is precious and beautiful no matter what they do or don't do, and yet at the same time believe that every single detail is important? Either doesn't make a difference what you do, or it does make a difference what you do. So in the early years of the Rebbe's leadership, he still had some small chaburas with guys that he was learning with. And one of the Hasidim asked the question. He says like this, Rabbi, I want to know. Imagine that there's two people on a ladder. One is standing at rung number 3, and one is standing at rung number 611. Which is greater? Which is greater? The Jew that's standing on rung number 3, that barely knows the difference between kosher and treif, or the Jew that's like bal peh in every tzos and nesivus? Who's greater? And the Rebbe was quiet. And the Chassid looks at me and goes, Rebbe, no? What's the answer? Because if you tell me that the Jew that's on rung 611 is greater, so then we know really what you mean is that you're just saying nice things to like the Jews that aren't keeping things, that don't know things, that aren't doing things, because you want them to get better, but you don't actually value them. And if you tell me that the Jew that's on rung 3 is greater, or as great even, so then why should we aspire for the heights? Why should we try harder? And the Rebbe looks at him and he says, I can't answer your question because your story is missing a crucial piece of information. So he says to him, what do you mean? There's two people. One's over here, one's over here. Which one is greater, Rebbe? The Rebbe says to him, you haven't told me which of them is moving upwards. Which of them is moving upwards? And that's a big nekuda. That's a tremendous point. Because in life and in tshuva and in eating and in self-control, it's not about where we're at, it's about where we're going. And that's huge. If you take a look at the picture that you have over here, even just this picture over here, this guy, is he going up the ladder, is he going down the ladder? Because the direction that he's going determines the end result. You can have two people that are on the same ladder, at the same rung, but one is going up and one is going down. So we want the person that's on the way up. We always want the person that's on the way up. At BRS West, we've made this one of the founding pillars of our community, is that we don't care about people's position, we care about their trajectory. And that's the way to look at another Jew, to lift up another Jew. Not to say, oh, what do I keep and what do they not keep? To be able to say, which way are we going? And let me help you. Let me help you rise up. And you'll help me rise up. But that which is true in the world of Avodas HaKodesh and of davening and learning is very, very true about the world of weight loss and the world of the scale. Because we all know that when we've come out of a Yom Tov, especially if it was a 3-day Yom Tov, we wake up in the morning and we take a look at the scale. And then we're mitlabet. Then we don't know. Do I get on the scale? Do I not get on the scale? What am I supposed to do now? Because if I get on the scale, then the number that I'm going to see is not going to be the number that I want to see. And if I look at a number and it's not the number that I want to see, then what's it going to say about? And there goes like all the Simchas Yom Tov. You know what I'm talking about? And sometimes what happens is that already by the second day, by the third day of a 3-day Yom Tov, you know that it's already verfallen. You know that it's over already. It's over skedabas. You know that by tomorrow, the scale and me are not going to be chavrusas anymore. We're done. We're done right now. Give it like a couple more days or weeks or months. Like somebody once pointed out, I've been on a diet for 2 weeks, and so far I've lost 14 days. There's such a world that we don't want to look at the scale. Because the scale shows us our position. The scale shows us our position. And we judge our lives based on our position. We do not judge our lives based on our trajectory. And I want to show you something personal, because this has been big mussar for me. And the truth is that the best way in the whole wide world to lose weight is not necessarily by looking at the scale, but you have to measure something. We'll talk about this another time. Things need to be measured in order to be able to manage them. That's how they say that which is measured is managed. But because being on a scale is just somewhat of the way that people do this, my wife and I bought one of those scales that every time you get on it, it tracks on your phone. And I want to show you something, because this has given me a lot of inspiration in my life in general, specifically with this avoda. And I want to show you a graph. I think you'll be able to see it on this. We'll see how this works. This is on my phone right now. If you take a look, we'll see if you can see this as such. You know what? It's not showing over here. I think I can do it like this. Hold on a second. There you go. Now you'll be able to see. See that? That's my trajectory of weight loss when I was doing this avoda big time. And you'll see that over here it's covered a couple of years. There's some rocky stuff over here, and things get a little bit better as we go. And that trajectory is inspiring. You'll see at the bottom here, even since I lost a bunch of weight, it's gone up and it's gone down. Because the avoda never ends. The avoda never ends. And the scale thing says that I unlocked something. Mazel tov. Baruch Hashem. But I want to show you something within this graph, within this trajectory. Is that if we zoom in over here, you'll start seeing that the trajectory is not so simple. Because within every part of the trajectory, there's some big ups and downs. And if we were to focus on the position at any point in time, we'd have a big nefillah. We feel bad, feel terrible about ourselves. But by understanding that the position and the trajectory are different things, so it becomes much easier to forgive ourselves, because the goal is, where am I going? Imagine two people at a shmog. One is skinny and eating everything in sight. And the other is not so skinny, but is holding themselves back. In the deepest, deepest way, we all want to be the person with the self-control to hold ourselves back. Now, the world that we live in makes us jealous of the skinny people. Look at that guy. Look at that girl. She can eat whatever she wants. She must have a miraculous metabolism. But it's not true. Because I tell you that some of the guys that I was in school with, the fittest and skinniest guys that had this miraculous metabolism, it's not so miraculous by the time they've had a couple of kids and a couple of late nights. Because the tchunas hanefesh of, I need to learn how to control myself and hold myself back, these are not things that people learn if they don't need to. But the people that have struggled with this and have overcome it, so they know what the struggle is, and they know how to manage it, and they know how to control themselves. Those are people that have really grown through this struggle. And I'm still growing. And I hope that you are as well. And where does this idea come from? How do we understand the difference between position and trajectory? And how do we become people of trajectory rather than people of position? To this end, I want to introduce you to a piece of Reb Nosson Breslover, who was the great Talmud, great Chassid of Nachman. This piece I was introduced to by Reb Moshe Weinberger Shlita in the middle of Sfiras HaOmer, Netzach Shebenetzach. This is a Torah that he said over to a couple of Rabbanim. The midah of Netzach, of victory. What does it mean to win? So take a look. Let's learn this inside. This is a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of a much bigger discussion. But this is the part that we need for right now. Rav Nachman says the following. Rav Nosson says the following. He's quoting from Rav Nachman and learning from Rav Nachman as he always does. He says like this. Ki nitzochen yesh lo shnei perushim. There are two explanations, two translations of the word nitzachon. Loshen nitzachon veloshen nitzchius. Nitzachon means victory, and nitzchius means eternity. There is victory and there is eternity. Both of these are contained within the word netzach. Netzach, which some of you know, is the midah of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's that midah of eternity and of victory. What does eternity and victory have to do with each other? Says Rav Nosson, he says, whenever the pasuk says netzach, what it's referring to is something that will never, ever, ever end. And somebody that is sensitive, that has eyes to see the truth. Shnei haperushim echad. These two explanations are one in the same. He says, Ki rak hanitzachon hanitzchi zeu hanitzachon amiti. Because only victory that is eternal is true victory. Aval nitzachon shehu lefi sha'ah bazeh olam einay nitzachon klal. But victory that is only temporary, a victory that's only in this world, is not a victory at all. And let's try to understand what he's trying to tell us here. Imagine two people. One of them says, I was going through my closet and I saw my wedding suit there. And it makes me feel bad about myself. Because not only does it not close anymore, I can barely fit both arms in it. So I need a diet. I need to lose weight. I need to be skinnier because I feel bad about myself. So what's such a person going to do? They're going to start Googling and researching and figuring out every single new fad diet in the universe, right? I'm going to try this diet and that diet and Atkins and keto and fiber and invasiveness, whatever the diet is, there's a reason that there's billions of diet books, right? And then what's going to happen? Invariably, it's going to shtickle work. It's going to shtickle work. A little bit. And then it's not going to work. And then that guy is going to look back in his closet a year later and he's going to see the wedding suit. And he's going to say, I failed. I'm a loser. I lost. I set out on a battle and I'm a loser. I'm now a loser. Because I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't do it. And then we come up with a lot of terutzim for ourselves, right? It's genetics. And I'm just big boned. Maybe society has it wrong. Maybe we should stop fat shaming, which is true. Maybe we shouldn't be so concerned about body image. It's also true. But when we open the closet and we see the wedding suit there, so we push it further and further and further to the back. Because as much as we want to tell ourselves, that there was another way and we shouldn't be so hung up on this weight thing and why am I even caring about this? And these diets don't work and it's just a money maker and they're just trying to take your cash. We feel bad about ourselves. We feel like we're a loser. And this can go for years. I know a Jew who told me that in his life, he's lost over 1,000 pounds in his life. And he goes up and he goes down, he goes up and he goes down. 1,000 pounds in a life. I don't know what that is in dollars. Sounds like a lot, right? 1,000 pounds. And he still feels like a loser. Still feels, I didn't win. I haven't succeeded. I'm still a failure. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm unhappy with who I am. But then you have another Jew. You have another Jew that has the same problem. That opens the closet and he sees his wedding suit and he doesn't feel good about himself. And he thinks to himself, look, I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have done. This is what we spoke about in Rav Kook. I've done things to myself that I'm not proud of. I should not have done those things. So I have to try. I have to try to fix the things that I've done wrong. So he wakes up the next morning and instead of going for the, whatever it is, the honey nut Cheerios, he takes the regular Cheerios. And he says, I'm going to try. Then comes lunch, and he's feeling bad about himself because of the suit that he saw in the closet, and he says, I'm going to have the salad instead of the burger. Comes dinner, and he says, I'm not so hungry. This food is delicious, but I probably shouldn't do it. I'll have what I need. And he'll do that again the next day. And what happens when he goes to the shmulk? And everything looks amazing and delicious. So he messes up. And then the next day, he looks at the scale. And the scale, the number has gone up. And he goes, okay, I guess I have to try harder. I did not succeed in controlling myself yesterday. So I have to try again. That's Netzach. That's victory. because that's forever. A Jew that thinks that the avoda of eating right is to lose a few pounds and to fit into a particular dress or a particular suit is not living in the world of Netzach. They are living in the world of loser. The Biggest Loser, right? There's a whole mahalach on TV, The Biggest Loser. Nobody there doesn't feel like a loser even once they've lost the weight. Unless it's about Midas HaNetzach. Because what happens the moment that you fit into the suit? The moment that you fit into the dress, oh, Baruch Hashem, I'm good now. I can go back to eating like a behemoth, the way that I used to. Because it's not Midas HaNetzach. Because it's not eternal, it's not forever. It's just, I have a goal in mind and I want to get to that goal. And then we get to the goal and it's like, okay, so now the goal is over, so I guess this avodah is gone. To eat like a mensch is not for now. To eat like a mensch is like to not speak Lashon Hara. To eat like a mensch is like to be honest in business. To eat like a mensch is to have Avas Yisrael. To eat like a mensch is to have Yiras Shamayim. It's a midah. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of who we become. That's a trajectory. That's about tshuva. It's not somebody that stands on a scale and says, ooh, this number doesn't make me happy, I have to fix this number. Somebody that gets on the scale and says, this number doesn't make me happy, I have to fix my life. I have to fix my midos. I have to fix the way that I treat myself, that I treat my food, the way that I treat the body that Hashem gave me. That's Midas HaNetzach. I am aiming for an eternity of getting this right. And to this end, and I'm not a big fan of giving diet advice. But I will tell you that there are two mahalchim in diets. There are diets that train a person how to eat right. And there are diets that trick a person into eating things that are almost as good as the thing that was. So I can't have the regular chocolate mousse that I love. So I'll have a fake chocolate mousse. Because the fake chocolate mousse doesn't taste as good. Everybody knows that it doesn't taste as good as the chocolate mousse. But how could it be that I don't have my chocolate mousse? So now I'm going to have a fake chocolate mousse. That's going to be a diet chocolate mousse. And my whole life is going to be fake. I'm going to have fake bread to eat a fake burger with a fake dessert. There's no nitzchis there. There's no victory. There's no eternity. The whole thing is just trying to trick ourselves. Doesn't work. It never sticks. Because a person that never stopped eating chocolate mousse like a behemoth, they're just eating a different kind of chocolate mousse like a behemoth, is still a behemoth. There can't be tricks here. We can't delude ourselves. I have a policy, I like ice cream. That's not the policy. That just happens to be. I don't like diet ice cream. Not because it doesn't also taste delicious, it does. But because if I'm going to eat ice cream, I'm going to eat real ice cream. And I'm going to own that I'm eating ice cream. I'm going to say, this is what I'm eating. Harini mukhan umezuman to eat the ice cream. A little bit. When I think that it's okay. And there are certain foods that I stay away from bichlal because I'm bad at controlling myself with those particular foods. I'm bad at controlling myself with particular foods, so I stay away from them klal. And I hope one day I'll be able to eat those foods with self-control. But it's hard, so I stay away from them. Ice cream I like, but I'll eat real ice cream every now and then, a little bit. A little bit. That's netzach. It's because I don't want to have my desires overwhelm me. I want to be in control. And that's a big avodah. That's what Reb Nosson is speaking about here. Because nitzachon means forever. It means this becomes part of who I am. This midah is not, I'm going to lose weight and then Baruch Hashem now can. God forbid. There's a trajectory. It's about moving up. It's not about the scale moving down. Although the avoda of looking at the trajectory of the scale is a big avoda. It's not about the moment because you go up and down. That's fun. There's successes and there's failures. But knowing that it's about training ourselves in a particular midah, that's life-changing. Now I want to talk about for a couple of moments how to win. How to win. The Kosher Magid points out that there is a word in Chumash that comes up very often. The word va'ata, and now. Throughout Sefer Dvarim, Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Jewish people, va'ata Yisrael, and now, Jewish people. Says the Kosher Magid, the word va'ata, and now, is always a lashon tshuva. It's always a reference to the concept of return, of fixing, of changing. Why? Because the question of trajectory is the question of, what do I do now? What do I do now? Not what I did yesterday. Not what I'm going to do tomorrow. What am I doing this minute? Right now. That's called tshuva. Because the Rambam explains to us that a Baal tshuva is somebody that finds himself in the situation that they were in, and they want to do the same thing, and they say, I'm not going to do it. Right now. Right now. It's a world of the moment, of the present, of this second. In this second, I want to know, what am I going to do? Am I going to straighten out the cake and flatten the ice cream and clean up the kugel and make sure that my kids' chocolate doesn't Khalila have bal kashris? Or am I going to climb the ladder? And it doesn't make a difference that yesterday or the day before or 5 minutes ago I didn't do the right thing. Tshuva means right now I will. If I can tell you that the greatest moment in this avoda is when you stop between bites. It's the greatest thing in the world. You're in the middle of eating a piece of cake for dessert. And you're feeling guilty with the bite of cake. Because you know that you shouldn't be eating this. This isn't betam. This isn't what you're supposed to do right now. I'm not in a world that I can eat cake right now. That's not my avoda. And you have a bite of cake, and it tastes like Gan Eden. And all that you want to do is finish the piece of cake, and you say, Ad kan. Va'ata, and now. That's Netzach. That's forever. In that moment you acquire eternity. You say, I'm taking another step up the ladder. In between bites. It's a question of what do I do right now, this second? Because, and this is Nakuda number 2 here, victory is the process, it's not the result. It's not about the number. It's about what am I doing? Who am I becoming? The results are measured in my capacity, in your capacity, in our capacity to be free. To be able to succeed here. It's not in the number on the scale. Because the number can go up and it can go down. But the avoda is always going up. I look at the scale of a yontif and I go, that's not what it should be. So what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong that my position is not in line with what my trajectory is supposed to be? So I think to myself, oi, what did I do? Taka. I was full by the time I sat down for dinner because, lunch, Baruch Hashem, lasted until Mincha. And then we went to Mincha and then Daven Ma'ariv, and then I came back and we made Kiddush. And really all that I needed to do was to have Lechem, Mishnah, and, a Kazayas and call it a day. But I didn't want to insult anybody, so I had a little more than my fair share. So I took a step down on the ladder. And that's reflected on the scale. But I took a step down on the ladder and I shouldn't have done that. Okay? So now I got to take a step up. How? Today I'm going to make sure that I'm more careful. Not that I starve myself now. Not that I, don't eat what I'm supposed to eat. That I eat exactly what I'm supposed to eat. Then I get back on track with looking at my body and saying, what do I need? What does my guf need right now? What does my neshama need right now? And at that point in time, we say, I'm going to get back up there on the ladder. I'm taking a step up. Because starving ourselves off the yontif, that's a step down. That's not a good trajectory. That's not a healthy trajectory. That's not self-control. That's denial. That's saying, I am going to lose 1,000 pounds in my life. Khalila. No. It means I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't eat like a mensch. Now I'm going to be metaking that, not by starving myself, but by eating like a mensch. The tshuva for not eating like a mensch is not, God forbid, not eating. You have to eat. You have to eat. That's what makes this avodah so hard. You have to eat in order to live. So you have to eat. The avodah is now to eat like a mensch. Once again, I'm going to eat like a mensch again. I'm going to eat like a child eats, like we said before. Not, God forbid, I'm going to starve myself. Because what I'm aiming to do is to be free. However, if I can tell you the greatest simcha in the world is that freedom of knowing that you can show up to a meal, to a shmog, and not have it bother you. And to this end, I have to share with you a tremendous Torah of the Sfas Emes quoting from the Chidush Arim. And I apologize that I didn't have a chance to put it on the slide, so you'll hear it by Al-Peh, and I'll put it on the slide for the chaver that want to take a look at brsos.net/diet. You'll be able to see all of these slides that we've said before. I'll have the source up there. And for a long time, I've been bothered by this particular kasha. That everybody knows that Yitzchak Avinu, Yitzchak is the sternest character of us, and maybe even in all of Tanakh. Yitzchak Avinu is Gvura, is Midas Hadin, judgment, is justice. Yitzchak Avinu, he doesn't mess around. Avram is loving kindness. Yaakov is Torah. Yitzchak is Avoda. Yitzchak is Din. Yitzchak is Gvura. And yet, Yitzchak Avinu, who lives in the world of judgment and justice and din, has a name called Yitzchak. Tzchak, to laugh. And it's almost ironic that the least jolly person in all of Tanakh is named laughter. How could it be that Yitzchak is Yitzchak? Says the Chidush Arim. Because the greatest tzchak, the greatest simcha, the greatest laughter in the world is knowing that you are not going to fail. Is knowing that you're living in the world of nitzchias. To know that you're living in the world of climbing the ladder. To know that you are going to face a challenge and that you will come out okay. That's simcha. Now I'm happy. Because I know that I'm going to succeed. Yitzchak Avinu laughs at his Yetzer Hara. Yitzchak Avinu laughs at the pint of ice cream and the plate of kugel. Yitzchak Avinu laughs at all the temptations of life. It's why Yitzchak Avinu is the one that can say to Esav, bring me the food that I love to eat. And he's not worried about it at all. Because Yitzchak Avinu is a nitzchias Jew. Yitzchak Avinu lives in the world of Gevura, in the world of Din, in the world of total self-control. And that's a life of work. That's nitzchias. It's forever. Yitzchak Avinu can say, I'm going to walk into the greatest restaurant in the world with an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I'm going to have a little bit. Because that's all that I want. That's all that I need. And I have no trouble saying no to the rest of it. That's a simcha. That's a tzchak. That's climbing the ladder. That's victory for eternity. That's not faking out on a fake burger and a fake Coke with a fake dessert. That's real. It's a real person eating real food because that's what they really want and that's what they really need, with the ability to say, and now I'm really going to stop. So I want to give you all a bracha. We're halfway through the month of Elul. We're on our way to Rosh Hashanah. This month has a lot of yontifs. A lot of yontifs in our future. Some people are going to be having meals at home just with their family, and some people are going to be having meals with other people. And some shuls are starting to have a little bit of kiddush again. And some of us are really nervous what's going to be when I'm invited out, and there's delicious food, and I don't know what to do. It's not about position, it's about trajectory. It's not about right now, it's about forever. And it's not about what I did yesterday, it's about what I'm going to do in this moment. That's what it means to keep climbing the ladder. And once we climb the ladder, the number on the scale gets lower. It's a byproduct. It's a happy byproduct. It's a good byproduct. But that's not the avoda. The avoda is to climb the ladder. Give you all the bracha that we should prepare to climb the ladder. And that by the end of Yantif, regardless of what the scale says, and it should be good. It should be good for all of us. We're higher up on the ladder. Please God, I will see you next week. Wishing everybody a beautiful Shabbos. Thank you so much for joining us.